For all of you who listen to Submersion and own an Android device, go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android device. I personally use the app and I love it. I can search for the podcast I want to listen to, select it as a favorite, and have it just a click away. Make sure you select Submersion as a favorite so you don't miss any of our new episodes every Thursday. Again, the app is the Podcast Republic app, available on Android devices. Episode 101.
Woo! Wow.
We did it. We got to 100.
Yeah, they
People
thought we
were
quit.
going to be.
Yeah.
People thought we quit, right?
Yeah.
We're coming back with a vengeance, right?
We are.
Like our
We're
listeners
really
they better hope that we don't find them because
we're back for retribution.
Yeah, we're getting retribution on our fans for sure.
And Zach has fixed a phone issue he's having, and so now we got another soundboard back. So everybody, give a nice round of applause for the soundboard. There we go. That's what I was waiting for.
Well, Zach's always
But I
timely.
appreciate everybody actually clapping. That was really nice.
Yeah. No. It's too much.
All right.
Gonna be a long night.
We are kicking off a new cycle to start us off here into our second century of work here on the Submersion podcast. We are entering Post Apocalyptic Movie Month.
Yeah, and how many have we had before that were post-apocalyptic? I feel like we know at least...
Escape from L.A.
Yeah, Escape from L.A., Time Under Fire.
Yeah.
Would you count Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea?
Maybe, yeah. It was. I would say that's what would you call something? It's not pre. It's not post. It's current. Yeah, it's like current apocalyptic. I guess Virus, that Japanese one.
Now that would be a really good one to be doing right now, anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true. But we're not because we already did it.
I know, it's disappointing.
We could re-release it and pretend like it was current. It'd be a little weird. We're not talking about the virus. Yeah.
For our listeners, reboot. For our listeners, we're going to try to be a little more proactive about sharing our upcoming movies. Almost treat it like a book club for anyone out there that wants to watch movies kind of ahead and know what's coming down the pike. So if anyone wants to listen in and be informed of the movie, and then you also have the opportunity to ask questions via social media. Of questions you would have for us or topics you want us to cover when we do those respective episodes. We don't expect to fill up the inbox or anything like that, but if it gets any traction whatsoever, we'd be excited by that. If anyone wants to watch ahead and give us some feedback, sound off in the comments, we'd appreciate it.
Don't sell us short.
If it does get
Yeah.
If it does get out of control, we're going to start charging to answer questions. So, I mean,
I want the server down because of all the questions.
Okay. Bring it down.
Crash the network.
Bring it down.
Hack,
you have to crash
hack the planet.
You have to crash Twitter and Gmail, all that type of stuff. Bring it down, man.
Yeah. AOL.
But yes, check out the graphic, the amazing graphic that Mr. Ben over there made for us. Looks awesome. Shows you what we've got coming up. We are going to be covering the Fitzroy on the Beach Atlantic Rim along with Resident Evil Retribution.
Which is tonight's.
Yes. We thought this might be able to piggyback on the success and excitement surrounding the Resident Evil 3 remake, the video game that just came out this past month.
Which one was that one? Was that with the one in the village?
No, that was 4. 3 was Nemesis, so it kind of took place alongside number 2 with the police station and all that.
I remember that one. I don't remember
3
Nemesis.
followed Jill's perspective through Raccoon City as she was chased by Nemesis.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. I do remember, obviously, the first one. I remember the second one. And I remember that one in the village, which is a little strange.
4
is one of the highest rated of all time.
I know, but I just remember when I started it, it didn't feel totally like a Resident Evil.
Right. It was a different virus, which actually shows up in the movie tonight. The Los Plagas zombies. They were the Russian ones that we'll get to tonight. But yeah, three. If you want to compare Resident Evil 3 to one of the movies, that's closest. That's most akin to the second Resident Evil movie.
Apocalypse. Is that one?
Correct.
And then this movie is the 5th movie, correct?
That is correct.
And I have seen 0 of the movies. So where do I stand?
The first one?
Never saw the first one.
I've never seen any of them either.
Yeah. First one is a very good movie. The rest of them, not so much.
Did you say it's a really good movie?
The first one, I think, is a great horror film. I think it's a good movie.
Wow.
Did not get good reviews, but
we'll talk about that later.
I believe the 6th one actually got the best reviews of the series, I think.
Strangely, it did. I completely disagree. It might have been the worst one, in my opinion.
Interesting.
That or the second one.
Well, anyways, I gotta say, I was very confused. But I'm gonna do my best to recap this mother.
Excellent. Well, let's dive this sub and jump right in.
Dive!
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the 8th wonder of the modern world. Mac East Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains Alex the Mustard Man, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Ointment, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion.
So as we said, we are watching reviewing Resident Evil Retribution tonight. Alex, we typically ask you to name the movie. Would you like to share any of the stars of this film for us, or give us some background?
I don't know who any of them are.
What?
Are you kidding me?
I at least knew that.
I know at least one.
I knew one actress, Michelle Rodriguez. This is the only person.
There you go. Fast and the Furious. It also stars Milla Jovovich, who is a beautiful supermodel and actress. I think she was in what was it called, Children of the Blue Lagoon or something like that, and she was in Ultraviolet.
Return to the Blue Lagoon.
Fifth Element. Okay, Return to the Blue Lagoon. Fifth Element.
Come on.
Ultraviolet. She's in the upcoming Monster Hunter movie.
Directed by the same guy.
Yep, the same guy. Paul W.S. Anderson directed this.
Her husband.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're married.
They're banging.
Okay.
Well, they're not. I mean, come on, they're not just banging. They're married. It's a beautiful relationship. Yeah.
Exactly. Also has Sienna Gullery. I recognized her from Luther, as well as, I originally knew her from the other Resident Evil movies. She plays Jill Valentine. Bing Bing Lee is in this.
That's Ada Wong.
I think she was in some of the X-Men movies.
And the Meg that we
watched.
The Meg.
Yeah. Yep. Friend of the show.
It's true.
But Milla Jovovich is our main character. She plays Alice. She's notably the only character throughout all these movies that actually isn't a character from the video games. She was created for the movie adaptations.
Beautiful stuff.
All right.
Paul W.S. Anderson as a director also. If you look at his stuff, he's got a wide range of films under his belt. I think he made Soldier. He made the Three Musketeers film that was complete trash and kind of hilarious to watch. All of these, or a bunch of these movies, not all of them. And yeah, he's very prolific and makes mostly what we'd call bad movie twins movies. So we've seen a number of them. Oh, that's actually a good movie, but it got bad reviews. But the first Mortal Kombat's actually surprisingly funny.
It is a fun movie.
Yeah,
it is fun.
Good fun. The second one is shit. So
we'll get into all of that with my countdown tonight.
Before we get started, so Jamie and Alex are the only two this is the only Resident Evil movie that they've seen.
Yep.
So the three of us, then we've seen all of them.
I've seen all of them.
I have too.
I've seen number 1, and now this.
There we go.
All right, so this is going to be a wide range on the spectrum. All right,
that's good. Shall I get into this?
One other question. Who all's played Resident Evil games?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't play many video games now, but I grew up. This was one of those games growing up that were just so huge.
Oh, yeah.
That I remember playing it like over and over again. The first one.
I have lots of memories. I've played all the core games, and the very first one on the original PlayStation I have a lot of memories with. So, lots of playtime.
I put a lot of time in on the one that the GameCube re-release from 2002.
Beautiful.
RE4, right?
What?
No, are you talking about the Resident Evil 1 remake, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Oh, RE1 remake.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Great game.
And then now, I was just looking because a while ago, like PlayStation was giving away the first one for free, and right now they are all on sale except for number 2, which they remade last year, and 3, which just came out this year. So I think right now you can get them all for like $8 a piece.
There you go.
Alrighty. Shall we
jump
get
in there?
This? All right. So
Take
Alice,
it away.
Following the very well-known events of the fourth film, we're on some like kind of boat or something, and everyone's running in reverse. It's all like backwards, and there's like a song playing over it, and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And they're like running, everyone's running backwards. There's all kinds of explosions, and she's been, she was originally standing on this boat, and I guess things were like pretty cool at that moment. But then people start attacking her, and things are decidedly not cool. And so it goes backward. It goes back in forwards. Anyways, and everyone attacks, and Milla Jovovich, what's her name?
Jovovich. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
She gets blown into the water. So that's the beginning of the movie. It's basically like, forget what happened in 4. Because apparently this was the ending of 4.
Yes. And they tend to retcon what happens in the previous movie all the time.
So anyways, they're like, forget that shit. And then at this point, do they go straight into the recap where they kind of recap everything in previous entries as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost instant where they bring you up to speed on the entire series.
Yeah,
really.
it's almost, this entire film feels like a video game, because it's almost like you start a video game and they have a big cutscene where they're like, 20 years ago, Umbrella Corporation released a virus, and a bunch of people were caught in like the Umbrella Corporation's headquarters or some shit, and they got chopped up by lasers. And you're like, okay, I got it. And all kinds of stuff. And there was the Red Queen, which is also a little girl who's like a AI machine. You're like, great, got it. I'm just like writing all this down, and I took a quiz afterwards, and I got an 88%, which was enough to pass. And I was like, okay. And they said, are you ready to go forwards? And I clicked yes. And we got into the movie. Because then basically they're like, forget that shit. Because most of it doesn't matter. Milla Jovovich is basically naked, sitting in a cube-ic area, some kind of geometric shape. And it keeps on lighting up. And she's getting tortured by a woman with like a glowing spider on her chest, obviously.
Set design was pretty awesome for this movie.
Yeah. And they're basically asking her questions, and she's not answering or whatever. And then eventually it just becomes torture, where they like turn the lights on. She gets hit with a sound that injures her, and then it falls asleep. And you're like, how is she going to possibly escape from this? Basically, the place just opens up for her. So like at one point, the computer
took like no time.
No. The computer, apparently, like all the computers go down, and then like the door opens, and she leaves. And that's more or less what happens. Yeah. And she got her suit almost immediately at this point. Was she still naked at this point? No, she got like a suit to put on, right?
It came out of the wall.
So right before, when the computers went down, it was like,
timing.
oh, hey, by the way, do you want this like perfectly fitting leather suit?
And I forgot. I forgot.
guess.
I did forget there was a cutscene in between her falling into the ocean and being in this geometric thing, where it was this really weird thing where it was like a fake world. Like she was a mother of a child who was deaf. I can't believe I forgot this. And they're just having like, I guess it's with one of the other characters from the series, and their husband and wife, and
Carlos.
they have this kid. Yeah, and they're like totally smooching, and it seems like they just have a totally normal life. But then zombies start attacking everywhere, and she has to kind of try to escape, and she her husband turns into a zombie and they go down the road and Michelle Rodriguez is there and tries to save them, but then they crash. And so they run into a house and she tells like the kid to like hide while she goes out and fights a zombie. And then she gets killed. And then she wakes up in the geometric shaped torture chamber.
To give you some context, Jamie, the lady with the spider on her chest and the gentleman in this simulation, Carlos, those are the two main characters of the third video game, the one that just got the remake.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And they're good. They're generally good guys. In this one, they're bad guys.
Yeah, they are good characters.
Yeah, so almost all the good guys are in this movie are bad guys.
Yep,
because of how they
evil
set
clones.
Yeah. So anyways, jumping back to it, she's just gotten her suit. She's gotten out of her geometrically shaped torture chamber. She's running down the hallway, kicking people in faces and stuff like that. She eventually meets up with Ada Wong. She encounters her in a room filled with dead people. Like she gets to like kind of a central hub and everyone's dead. And she's like, what the fuck? And Ada Wong comes out and you see like some video of her coming in and killing everyone. And basically she's been sent by Albert Wesker, who's like the head of the Umbrella Corporation. And to correct me if I'm wrong, he's been a bad guy in every movie, right?
Yeah.
For more or less, he's been like one of the main bad guys in the movies. And in this one, he's like, hey, Alice, I'm totally not a bad guy. You got to trust me. And she's like, okay. And again, no convincing, no time at all. She's just like, got it. I'm now on your side. So she's told this whole plan. Again, we go into video game cutscene mode where they're like, here's a map of where you are. And there is all kinds of like locations in this, headquarters. There's like a cityscape. There's like a Russian area. There's like a something or other suburban area. And there is submarine pens. And we're like, hold the phone. Go back to that one. What did you just say there was? Submarine pens? Yeah. Because where are we? We're in whatever, Kamchatka, Russia, or whatever, where the Russians have abandoned their submarine, naval yard. And Umbrella Corporation built this giant underwater testing facility to kind of show off their latest tech. The point was they were kind of selling these viruses to all the countries in the world, mutual destruction, yada, yada, yada. And so they'd show the Americans like a virus that would turn all of the Russians into zombies. The Russians would show one that would turn suburban America into zombies. Chinese would be shown one that showed Tokyo being turned into zombies. Tokyo would be shown one of Chinese, whatever. And so that's why
you went through all that, because that's what they did in the movie.
Yeah, no, you gotta do it.
Oh, if you do this nation, we'll do them, but then we're also going to do them. You're like, okay, we understand.
So
we get it.
Basically, they need these huge testing grounds to show off this tech and sell it for lots of money.
But at first, you didn't realize that she was going. They refer to each of these scenarios as like a simulation. They're going to run these sims. We thought she like escaped, and you didn't realize that she was in a simulation.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things, she immediately goes to this cop car, pulls out this wicked awesome gun, and I was like, "What is the Raccoon City standard issue firearm for a police officer?" And so I went online to Internet Movie Firearm Database,
of course,
and found out this is a Sig Sauer P220 Sport. Sig Sauer, my bad.
It's okay.
And it is a heck of a gun. You can get one used. It looks like $1,200, something like that. But it's a hand cannon.
Did you check that? Was that today prices, Kyle?
Yeah.
Because for the last couple months, gun prices are like off the charts crazy right now.
Yeah, I know. I checked it before we started.
Nice.
I was like, what's it at now?
So that's a stimulus check, right?
That is.
There you go. Stimulus check. Get yourself one of these.
So anyways, they're supposed to meet up, Ada Wong and Alice are supposed to meet up with the rescue crew that Wesker's sending. It involves Leon Kennedy, Barry Burton, and Luther West. Apparently they're people we know, ? I don't know.
They are major characters from the video game series and the movie series.
Yeah, so then they're coming across there. They go to the submarine base. They set a bunch of explosives, and they're like, all right, we only got so much time before all this blows. So we best get in there and we best get out. And everyone's like, got it. And I did like the visuals in a lot of this stuff in some of these scenes where like them descending on the giant platform with like the Soviet sickle and star or whatever it is. I kind of dug that look and how it looked in that case. So anyways, they're going down, Alice and Ada, they go through, what do they go through first? Tokyo? Where they see like
start in Tokyo.
Oh, together.
Yeah, because they see the one they start hearing a noise, and Alice is like, "I know what that is," and I'm sitting there being like, "I don't know what that is," because I've never seen these movies. And apparently, it's some giants who are dragging some hammers, and I honestly was like, I don't even know this is in Resident Evil. I just remember zombies in a mansion, and they. It was actually seemed to me much more Silent Hill like than Resident Evil like. Kind of weird.
The pyramid face guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Pyramid Head, yeah.
Pyramid Head. God, by the way, if you guys want to see one of the worst movies ever made, Silent Hill, I think it's Revelation 3D. That one is ridiculous. It's so good and bad at the same time.
Now, is that the one that's... Did Sean Bean in that or not?
He's there as like a ghost, I think. Sean Bean's in the
back
first one.
Just a little bit, I think.
I think so, yeah. Anyways, we're a little off topic. Sure. They do a bunch of fighting stuff with these Pyramid Head type people. They're all swinging their hammers. They're like jumping away from them. And eventually they cause an explosion that kills them. And they're like, fuck you, or whatever. Probably. The rescue team at the same time, they end up in Moscow. And they start getting attacked by a huge number of zombies. And you said this was the Los Plagas ones?
These are the Resident Evil 4 zombies. So these ones are a little more intelligent and know how to use guns and weaponry and things like that.
I was wondering about that because they seemed almost people-like. The only thing is they don't use guns very well because they were shooting at 3 people just standing there and couldn't hit any of them ever. The only time they actually killed anyone was when they got 1 foot away from them and chainsawed them in the chest, which seems strange.
That was also ridiculous because the guy was like not even moving really fast towards the guy with the chainsaw, but the dude just took it to the chest.
Yeah,
almost no resistance, right?
His friends like in no way, shape, or form even like acknowledged that their buddy just got his chest ripped apart.
Well, I looked at him and said, well, I mean, you didn't, dude, if you can't help yourself here, I mean, you literally did nothing. What the heck, man?
Yeah. And so in the at this point, sorry, and just to correct something, it wasn't Tokyo where they beat the executioner or the pyramid people. It was New York City. I guess there was also a Times Square simulation. Whatever. I'm not so broken up about getting that wrong. So they get to the suburban setting. And at this point, they go into the house, and she's kind of having weird flashbacks. I didn't totally understand this. I guess she's somehow connected to these clones, or maybe she is herself.
She has the same program. She is a clone. She is a clone. Yeah, she has the same programming as all these, but she never did this simulation as a clone. So it's all just kind of latent that this is all in the back of her head.
She has some deja vu and stuff like that. So when did she become a clone?
It's revealed all along she's a clone. She's a product of the Umbrella Corporation. At no point was she a real person in the movies.
Is that revealed
there's
in
a
the sixth
scene,
one?
Jamie, in one of the movies. I think it's the third one, isn't? And it shows like hundreds of Alices just dying,
thrown into a mass grave.
Yeah,
all wearing the same outfit.
Yep, because they keep just running the same
simulation.
Simulation over and over.
Yeah. So, anyways, Alice, they encounter the little girl, the deaf girl, who is quote unquote Alice's daughter, and she decides, I'm going to take this girl with me. Like, even though she's a clone, like, she's still a little girl. So I'm going to save her. And I'm still her quote unquote mother. So they're in there. And all of a sudden, all of like the clone bad versions of good people show up. Michelle Rodriguez is there. Someone else is there. Another person is there. Like all the people we know and love from the series. And I definitely knew them. And I'm not like just like claiming not to. And they're like, yo, come out. We're totally going to kill you. And Alice and Ada are like, no. And so they start shooting up the house like crazy. And Ada's like, go. And she's going to kind of get out on her own, but, cover Alice. And so Alice and Becky, they run out, and what do? How do they get out of there? They kind of just run out the back door.
I think they get a car and are able to drive it into like the subway.
There's a small chase scene.
Yeah, and Ada.
I want to say they make it to the subway where they find the good Rain clone, which is Michelle Rodriguez's character.
Right, and so then and Ada, we see her escape. She kind of shoots her way out of the house. But they go their separate ways at this point. So yeah, they end up in kind of the subway, and Alice tells them to take care of Becky, or this Michelle Rodriguez character take care of Becky or whatever. I'm getting all confused now of how she even met Michelle Rodriguez.
This part was so funny because at the beginning of the movie, you saw Michelle Rodriguez get in the car or whatever, pick them up and drive them away, and then she instantly dies. And I thought, wow, that's gonna be funny if that's the only time we see Michelle Rodriguez. Be funny, in this. And then she finally showed up.
She didn't die. Her car got flipped. No, her car got flipped and she survived. That's when she ran to the subway, and then she finds the clones.
Oh, okay.
And wonders why Alice is wearing a skin suit now.
Oh,
yeah, I know. It was funny. She's like, "So what's with the S&M get up?"
Yeah.
It's like, good Lord.
And so, yeah, I guess she just like take care of this girl, and then she goes, and the Moscow rescue group, because they're late, they need to get their way out. They find a way out the back way, away from the Los Plagas zombies. But all of a sudden there's a liquor there, and they're like, oh shit. And you're basically like, they're done. A liquor's like pretty badass, and I know that because I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. But then Alice shows up out of nowhere at this car, knocks the liquor over. You're like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, I guess. And they all pile into this car, and off they drive. And they're driving in this little chase scene. We see some Los Plagas zombies. They're like shooting. The liquor's coming back, and you're like, oh shit. And it's like knocking those Los Plagas zombies out of the way totally. And they're like, we're not going to make it. But they jump into the subway. They drive through, and then there's like an explosion that piles a bunch of rock onto the liquor. So they're able to get away. So now they got the rescue crew. They've got Michelle Rodriguez. They got Becky. They've got Alice. And it's time to skedaddle and get out of there. Right?
Yeah.
I'm noticing something, right? I think that's right.
I mean, again, you could have like boiled this movie down into like 2 minutes if you want.
No, I boiled it actually up to like 15 minutes. Yeah.
You've synthesized it into a very dense recap.
So then they pass by the submarines, and we're like, oh boy, I'm pretty excited for them to use these submarines. And they're like, fuck those submarines. We're going out the normal way. And we're like, no, as we see the beautiful submarines. And we're like, guess we're never getting any submarines. Right, guys?
Wrong.
That's what I thought there.
So they're heading to the entrance, but Spider Chest Lady, whatever her name is,
Jill.
Yeah,
Jill Valentine.
She's like, shut it down, and they shut down the computers, and they catch up to them because they can't get up anymore, and they're having like a giant shootout. And then also there's like a liquor that kills Michelle Rodriguez and grabs the little girl. And you're like, well, the little girl's dead. Forget her. But that's not how Alice operates. Alice is like, I'm getting her back from the liquor. So fuck you guys. And she goes up and she's like, I'm going after liquor. And everyone's like, fine. But they're kind of trying to keep things kind of cool with the people that are having a big shootout. One of the guys gets shot and in the shoulder or something. And he's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself.
Yeah, this was Barry.
Barry Burton. Fan favorite.
He's going to cover everyone because he's like, knows he's going to die. So he kind of comes out in front of everyone. And it's like, oh boy, definitely a big old shootout. And he like pulls up his gun. They shoot him. They're like, we totally killed him. But he has thrown up his gun into the air. And then he quickly gets up and shoots and kills who? Carlos? Was that? Who was
yeah, it might have been. Again, they're all clones, so it doesn't. Who cares?
They're clones. Yeah, who gives a shit who he killed? But he killed one of them, and you're like,
with a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah, and he dies.
They actually show one scene where there's like 100 of each of these characters, like in a giant rack, and that's just kind of feeding them all through, just to illustrate how kind of dispensable everyone is.
Yeah. So then Alice is going up to the liquor. She's got like, the liquor's got like little cocoons or whatever where it's got the food. She rips that open, gets Becky out of there, and then she's able to kill the liquor using a grenade or something like that and blows up its brain. So we know her badass. She was able to beat that liquor pretty easily. And then they're able to destroy the base and finally get out. Like they have to leave some people behind, but Leon, Luther, and Alice and Becky all get out of the place. Two of them using the elevator. Alice and Becky have gotten through some other way. I can't even remember. She got out of ventilation or something. And they get to the surface and they're kind of snowmobiling away. And you're like, whew, there's no way we have anything remotely exciting or interesting happening at this point. What breaks that ice, Kyle?
All of a sudden, we start to see the sail of a submarine.
It's Fate of the Furious up in here.
It is.
Because that submarine comes up.
Is on that sub?
Emrod.
Michelle Rodriguez, a bad version. Jill Valentine, she's also there. And they start going at it. And we're seeing Alice and how she can do things. She's like fighting people like crazy. Michelle Rodriguez is like, you can't kill me because I'm like super enhanced or something like that.
Yeah,
she got like she got the special
with
virus.
One of the parasites. Yeah.
She's like
she
she's all
injects
jacked.
herself right there.
Yeah. So she's going crazy. She's like super enhanced. She's like, you can't even kill me. But then Alice sees like a bunch of zombies under the ice. And she's like, oh, I got an idea. And she gets Michelle Rodriguez to break through the ice. And the zombies all grab her. And I was like, aren't those going to release the zombies into the world? But I guess that's not a big deal because there's zombies everywhere. So who gives a shit? It's like a drop in the bucket. It's like one zombie for every million now.
That was after the fight with Jill, right?
Yeah, and then Jill. Oh yeah, so Jill, she's able to pull off the little spider thing that's like controlling her.
Yep.
So she's about to be killed by Jill, but she's able to pull it off, and Jill becomes like a good guy again because she isn't being controlled by the glowy spider thing on her chest. Everyone knows about that. The glowy spider.
Yeah,
thing.
she actually might be like one of the actual like just pure-blooded humans, and that's how they're able to control her. Like I think most of the clones can just be like made that way, so that might be what's going on there. I forget.
And then we finish up with Alice, Ada, Becky, Leon, and Jill. They travel to Wesker's headquarters, which is the White House. She's barricaded in the Oval Office. He injects her with the T-virus again to kind of make her super again or something. Is that right?
Give her superpowers back.
And now she's become an ultimate weapon. And he kind of takes her up to the roof of the White House to show her just what's going on. That we're heading to the climactic battle, which will be movie 6, presumably.
Nope.
Okay, won't be okay, sure. But they're defending the White House against all kinds of hordes of virus monsters.
Yeah, there's like dragon or like wyvern zombies and stuff.
Obviously.
Yeah. That's it. Now, quick spoiler alert. I really want to catch Jamie up because he probably will never get around to watching the 6th one. But I just felt like I want to tell Jamie the really quick synopsis of the 6th movie. Movie starts. You find out Alice is in Washington D.C., but she wasn't actually injected with a parasite. It was a trick by Wesker. And she doesn't actually have to be in Washington, D.C. She has to get back to Raccoon City. And there is a airborne antivirus that she can break the vial of, and it'll go through the air and spread across the country and kill everything with the T-virus in it. And the Red Queen is now a good girl and is helping Alice to do all this. And they completely retcon the 5th movie. All of the characters that we saw in Washington, D.C. are no longer in the movie, and they brought back Claire Redfield from the dead, who was one of the people that died on the boat at the beginning of the 5th movie. Beautiful. So very stupid.
Yeah, that seems bad. It seems like it's a bad thing they did.
It really felt like they did all of that and had all that set up, and they're like, well, we have a cooler script. We're gonna go with this. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they had a script and they were like, good to go. And then someone came in and was like, I don't like that script. It's like, well, we already did all this stuff for it. Like, well,
it was all a ruse. Let's go a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And they brought back Ian Glenn too.
Why was this movie called Retribution? Who were they getting?
I have no idea. I was thinking the same thing.
I love those subtitles about that watching that the whole time through the movie. because I had no idea.
Well, why is Silent Hill called Silent Hill Revelation?
I don't know.
All right, guys. I think this will clear things up.
I just figured they
the
would
definition
explain something.
For retribution is requital according to merits or deserts, especially for evil.
Is it deserts or like desserts, like just desserts?
Could be either one. Desserts, especially for evil.
Huh.
So it doesn't clear anything up. I don't know. Why? Good point, Alex. I have no idea why the heck this is called Retribution.
Does anyone quickly
same thing.
Does anyone quickly have their favorite subtitle, like a colon something something, for our film? Besides Airbud 2 Golden Receiver, that's not that we don't count that one.
Like, there's a band that Kyle likes to listen to a lot, and they throw a lot of colon titles into it, and they just kind of seem to keep on going, and you don't know what it's all about. That's kind of cool.
Wasn't there like a Alien versus Predator Requiem or something like that?
That is, yeah, true. Good one.
That's a pretty good one.
Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood.
Oh, good. Leprechaun. Woo!
Didn't we watch a movie recently that had 2 colons in it?
No, that was a mistake on my part, I believe.
Oh, okay.
They didn't do the full. It was, I believe it was.
Wasn't it GMK? One of the Godzilla ones?
No, it was Cradle of Life. So it was Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life, and you'd think there could be 2 colons, but Lara Croft Tomb Raider does not have a colon in between the Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. It's just Lara Croft Tomb Raider, colon, Cradle of Life. But anyways, the answer is Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace. The best subtitle of all time.
Oh.
That was a nice little moment we just shared, guys.
Yeah. All right.
The more you know.
About Lawnmower Man 2. So do we do Love It or Hate It now?
No, we do that after we do our...
I got a surprise. I'm combining Love It and Hate It in my review this week.
Oh, my word.
Get ready for that.
All right. Then who's going to kick us off here?
Bram, I'd like to hear yours, if you would do that for me.
I will do that for you,
Okay.
but just because you asked nicely.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the very first movie in this series and the video games as well, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give this a stellar review. It still might be higher than most, mainly because the movie series after the first one really, as I started to allude to there, they seem to retcon so many things. They're able to just flip the script on you whenever they want. I hate that kind of writing where it's like something that you had no possibility of seeing coming, and they catch you completely off guard with like this, oh, they were clones all along, or we can say this now, and oh, actually, I have this virus in me which prevents this, that, or the other thing. I mean, they're able to do all these different things and just kind of rewrite the narrative halfway through the movie, and then the next movie comes out and it completely disregards it. And I actually had not seen this one prior to reviewing. I watched the first 4 and then had kind of given up on the series back in my college days. And stopped following along. So I was able to see this one for the first time for the podcast here. And again, it was dumb writing, silly, over the top, incoherent at times. What I will say was good. I liked the set design. We still had a top, AAA, budget for set design and some of the CGI and effects. I loved the theme song for this one. I recommend everyone go and check out. It's called, I think, Through the Sky. Loved this song. This probably cracks actually into like my top 10 songs in
when
film.
Did it play? Did it play in the beginning of the film?
Yeah, it played throughout. It was okay. Like the recurring theme. It had the violin in it.
Yeah, I really like. Was it playing in the beginning of the movie when they were doing the slow motion?
Yes,
it's really good.
They play the full song then, and then they kind of hint back at it, kind of like what happens in Das Boot and in what was the other one we watched? Not The Command, the Wolf's Call. No, it was The Command. It was The Command. The Command with the choir boys and everything. So they did that with this. So the musical score was actually pretty impactful, and it was pretty neat. It's just kind of a shame that it was wasted on a poor or stupid film. But yeah, check that out. Through the Sky, good song. So set design, song, love me some Milla Jovovich. She's a beautiful actress. She's a cool character and badass and throughout the series. But yeah, ultimately it's just too silly and ridiculous and over the top at this point. The very first film in the series was a very coherent and concise film that you could follow from start to finish and didn't get too over the top and come out of left field with all these different sort of bits of technology that undo everything that you've watched to this point, which has kind of made the series frustrating for me. I'm going to give this particular one a 5.
Okay.
I can
Still
jump.
relatively high, huh?
Yeah, there's still a lot of fun to be had here, but it's all visual, cheap thrills, I'd say.
Okay, and I can jump in. I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think visually, I was actually a little surprised. I think sometimes when you get this really computer CGI heavy stuff, it can just kind of look silly or whatever. But I did kind of like how things looked for a lot of the design of the actual main headquarters area, and then particularly the outside of the submarine area, and then the submarine pen itself, like kind of the areas that looked more like a regular base and not so much mimicking like Times Square or whatever. I think it kind of fell apart a little bit sometimes with the monsters. Like as I said, I thought some of them kind of bordered onto that Silent Hill level stuff, which is just a little bit strange. I feel like I don't even know. Sometimes it's like Final Fantasy kind of thing. I don't know. It gets a little techie, a little steampunk, and doesn't feel
Cyberpunk.
totally. Yeah, it doesn't feel totally Resident Evil like. But I kind of enjoyed cruising along with the visual. Otherwise, the narrative is nothing. I mean, it's just basically a video game. They may as well just have you be playing the video game.
Right.
Because why would you actually watch a narrative where you have a bunch of scenes and it literally is like cutscenes where they're like, hey, where have you been? We were late because we were blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it's just as bad as cutscenes from video games. And so, if you're looking for a movie with like a coherent narrative and stuff like that, probably not for you. If you're looking for something just to chew on some visual stuff, this one's not that bad. And I was happy to see at the end that the submarine busted through that ice and played a bigger role in the movie than just having some submarine pens there. I was actually thinking, before it busted through, I was like, oh, this should have been a submersible pod or a micropod, because the submarines are cool, but they're just sitting there. But then at least one busted through and got to play a role. In the end, I think I'll come around where you are, maybe 4.5, something like that.
All right.
Bam.
Very fair.
All right.
All right.
I'm jumping in.
Here it comes.
So this is going to be a combo of my review along with Love It and Hate It. Love it or hate it. Scratch that, Kyle.
Not a chance.
All right. So these are a Zach hate it and a Zach love it. And then Zach, that's me, will give my final review. How does that sound, gang?
All right.
This sounds pretty complex.
Okay, I'll let you decide which ones love it or hate it. Here's my first one. There are only 2 ways to view this movie. The first one, Paul Anderson wrote an entire movie on a Sunday afternoon, which may or may not include pages from the scripts of Alien, Westworld, The Island, and his own Resident Evil movies. Because of this, Paul gives the Submersion crew a depth charge filled with shit for a movie. It in no way follows a cohesive narrative plot. This film doesn't care about us connecting with its characters, new, old, or even rebooted ones. The talking head acting is terrible. It's an insult to the video game franchise. It's an insult to submarine fans, and it's an insult to humanity itself.
Wow.
Bam.
Love it.
I wrote that.
That was an apocalyptic review.
He has
Now,
some retribution to hand out.
Let's swing to the other side of the spectrum. Paul Anderson has done the unthinkable and continued to etch his name in film history's stone by creating another $100 million grossing film. He furthers the Resident Evil franchise as one of the most financially successful franchises ever, which eventually will pass $1 billion with the sixth film. Every single one of his Resident Evil movies tripled or more its budget. These movies are successful worldwide, don't skip a beat, includes characters from the beloved video game franchise and new and fascinating storylines with twists and turns that'll make your head spin. Paul Anderson has shown his love of the Resident Evil franchise, his ability to methodically create a story that captivates studio audiences around the world. He is a studio dreamboat with his ability to depth charge the competition and bring in loads of cash for those fat cats. Now, here's my actual review. My open letter to director Paul W.S. Anderson. Mr. Anderson, what you created is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever seen. At no point in your rambling, incoherent movie were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this sub is now dumber for having watched it. I award you a 3 rating, and may God have mercy on your soul. Boom, there it is.
Wow.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, that's great.
So you did award him points. You didn't go no points. You did give him 3.
3 is my rating.
Okay.
Oh, man. I'll come in here then. And I don't know how anybody can really follow that up. So I have been disappointed with this franchise from the first movie, right? That came out. I was so into Resident Evil 1. You know, you got the mansion incident. That's what I was really hoping for in a movie. But then after watching this, I'm like, well, do I really want them to just recreate the video games in movie form? That never really works out well. This movie is insane. Like you said, it's incoherent. Literally, we started with that simulation of her being a housewife, and that took, what, like 15 minutes, something like that? And had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
I forgot to recap it.
I know. They kept talking about getting to the submarine pens. They're like, we gotta get to the submarine pens. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen at the submarine pens? Literally, it's just a backdrop. They run through it, and then they run back through it later. I'm like, really? That's what we're going to do with the submarine pens? It makes no sense. CGI, I'm usually not a huge fan of a whole lot of CGI. Well, I guess when it comes to realistic things, something like Midway, I didn't really like it there at all. Here, I thought it looked visually appealing, but that's it. That's all you got. This movie reminded me of Sucker Punch, which I hate.
Oh, I hate Sucker Punch. Well, but the only thing with Sucker Punch is a misogynistic piece of garbage. This is at least isn't like offensive.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just talking about we're going into all these different, simulations, or whatever. I mean, although they're all within the same realm of things, but whatever. This movie was not good. Didn't like it. Action was fine. The strike team I thought was funny because maybe because I haven't watched the rest of the series, they get in there and like, it reminded me of something you'd see like with the Expendables, something with the star-studded cast. They're like, oh yeah, here's you and here's me. What's up? And I had no idea who any of these people were. And they're not well-known actors, but I'm going to match Zach. I'm going to give this thing a 3.
Boom. Surprised you came in that high, Kyle.
So I was looking at my ratings. I'm like, okay, would I watch this or Midway again? And I was like, I'll put these about the same.
I'd probably watch Midway. I can't remember what I gave Midway.
I don't want to watch those again.
I probably
give that
Midway
a 6.5.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would definitely give it higher than a 4.5, so I'm good. All right, Alex, what you get?
As I said before, I have never played any of the video games or watched any of the movies. I know very little about Resident Evil, mostly just from, like top 10 lists I see online from like Watch Mojo or something, where who's the main bad guy in this or whatever.
Wesker.
Wesker. He always seems to end up being a bad guy that makes those top 10 lists. That's like most famous bad guys. And when I was watching this, he seemed like he was kind of like the good guy or helping the cause to make it better. So I was really confused as to what was going on. And I think you shedding some light, Ben, for episode 6, where they just kind of throw away everything that happens in here. I guess that makes sense as to what had happened. But
he was trying to get her away from Raccoon City is what they're trying to say with the 6th one. But they're in Russia, so that doesn't make any sense.
So I was really confused watching it. I don't know why it was called Retribution, like I said before. I get like what they were doing in the movie, but I don't know why, and I don't know how this relates to any of the other stories. So I was just confused with everything about this at all. The movie, in terms of CGI, was very heavy. I had no issues with it. If it's going to be a video game movie, I'm okay with that because it kind of looks cartoony to begin with. So I have no problem with them using a heavy amount of CGI as they did.
They actually have an animated movie series.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if those are critically acclaimed or not, but I know there's several of those. Yeah, I would imagine.
I think people like them a lot.
Acting, I thought, was what you'd expect from this. Nothing that's going to blow your mind. Just very average. The story, stupid. Submarine, I thought we were going to get a lot more than what we did. As Kyle mentioned there, they kept talking about going to the sub pens. You know, I was hoping for like a submarine escape or a huge fight in a submarine. You know, maybe some zombies get in there. You know, it felt to me like there was going to be something a lot more with the submarine that never really happened.
What you just described is much better. Why didn't they do that?
Yep. Missed opportunities.
I guess so. So when I was looking over previous ratings I have given to other movies and what other people have given to other movies with similar knowledge going into something with like as much background as this, I'm going to have to give this a 2. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but I really didn't enjoy it. I think what little submarine action we had salvaged that from a 1, brought it up to a 2 for me. But other than that, I'm never going to watch probably this movie again or any of the other 5 that are out, or even the animated series, like you guys have said. Now, there may be hope for me to play the game someday down the road. I have missed that boat big time since it's been out for so long, but it's not been a game that I've been dying to ever play once in my life. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll finally get around to playing the series.
Christmas gift ideas.
Yes, so there it is, 2. That's what I'm going with. 2 out of 12, or whatever our number system is now.
I feel like, it's a good tight set from 2 to 5 for us.
Yeah.
I think it's an accurate
Something
assessment.
I don't think any of us mentioned is, as low as we rated this, at least it was relatively short, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Came in, like an hour, 36 minutes or something like that?
Well, that was with credits and everything. I think.
It's close to like 125.
It was, yeah, exactly. And the opening scene, that took like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And so if you count that out,
it's all in
too,
slow motion and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And once they played it through, it was done in like 2 seconds. So it was really meant like an hour 15 is what it felt like.
And then it's like what Kyle said, that whole flashback scene she had when she was like living in a house with a husband and a kid. That I remember even looking at the time in the movie. I was like at 23, 24 minutes. That whole thing was still going on.
They actually had that scene in its entirety in the previous movie as well.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, they keep showing that to reinforce that she's a clone, and she keeps having these like subliminal flashbacks.
That's he was a pervert, though, right? Can we all agree that her husband, he's a pervert? He was like a pervert to me.
He did. He smacked her butt right in front of their daughter, didn't he?
I mean, he probably had a few side pieces.
Spilled his coffee? Yeah, okay. There was the worst spill of coffee I'd ever seen.
All right.
Good
Top
Lord.
10. That's a video for Mojo, Alex. Top 10 worst coffee spills in cinema. Number 1, Resident Evil Retribution.
Ready for some trivia? I've actually changed this up a little bit too, just like Zach changed up Love It or Hate It.
Whoop.
So now trivia, instead of being just like straight up trivia. There's actually trivia involved, so get ready to answer some questions.
Okay.
All right, so the character Becky was not originally supposed to be hearing impaired, but after outstanding audition, the role was given to Ariana Engineer. Now, she's only been in 2 major films, this and her debut, Orphan, which stars Vera Farmiga. What other submersion film did we see Vera Farmiga in?
Oh, shit, it was recent, too.
It was recent.
I don't know.
Oh.
Vera Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga.
I got a good soundbite for this.
It was a bad movie. Oh, it was Godzilla.
Yep, you got it. Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Oh, okay.
She is the mother/wife. All right, so Bing Bing Lee's entire dialogue was dubbed by Sally Cahill, who voiced Ada Wong in the video games Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil: The Dark Side Chronicles, and Resident Evil 4. Cahill isn't in many feature films, but she is in Car 54, Where Are You?, which we did for badmovietwins.com. That's badmovietwins.com. That film was shot as a musical, but then released without the musical sequences included, which is kind of interesting just from that point of view. Like they have like 1 or 2 of the musical sequences, but they cut everything. So what is the only musical submarine film ever to be made?
Yellow
as far as I can
Submarine.
tell.
Yellow Submarine?
Good call. Yes, I believe that's the only one. I didn't do an exhaustive search.
Oh. There's some good songs in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's like playing strumming his thing, yeah. So what is it, banana or something about bananas?
There's songs in Goldmember.
The song's in a lot of comedy films. So I was just thinking about that the other day. The voiceover for the trailer of the film is done by Patrick Stewart. So this was actually a Jeopardy question, and I'm just going to give it to you as the Jeopardy question, see if anyone can get it. Hirsute James McAvoy and not so hirsute Patrick Stewart.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Who is Professor Xavier?
Who is Professor Xavier? Very good. Nice job. And also a second question, what does hirsute mean?
Hirsute?
Yep.
Don't know.
Hirsuite.
Harry, I think.
Yes, good call, Harry.
I looked it up.
Great, thanks. In the scene that takes place in the Oval Office, the Great Seal of the United States on the ground is modified so the eagle's head faces its left foot, which is holding 13 arrows, symbolizing war, as opposed to the normal pose where it faces its right foot holding an olive branch, symbolizing peace. So in this quarantine times, I'm looking to actually read War and Peace while sheltering in place. So who can come closest to the number of pages in War and Peace, according to Googling how many pages are in War and Peace?
986.
Sorry. Alex first.
986.
Brom?
879.
Kyle?
653.
Zach?
1,600.
I believe that's going to be Alex. It is 1255.
Wow.
1255.
Wow.
Hey, Jamie, did you know that originally the author was going to name that book War, What Is It Good For?
What was that from? Is that a quote from someone?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they ended up changing the name of it because the song by War was coming out the following year.
I was on Seinfeld.
Oh, that's right. The idea of using environmental simulations references the 4th game-based novel, Resident Evil Underworld, where there are 4 environmental simulations: a forest, a desert, a mountain, and a city. Speaking of mountains, what mountain is it claimed that Noah's Ark ended up on?
Sinai? No.
Anyone got this?
Appalachian Mountains.
It sounds like people are going to tap out.
I do not know it.
It is Mount Ararat. But also, bigger question, why hasn't there been a Noah's submarine film?
Interesting.
Why an Ark? Why not a submarine? That's my big question.
I like that take on it.
It was close in 2012.
Oh, that's true. Good call.
Close, but they weren't subs.
And
I watched because somebody recommended it.
And then Phantom Zone?
Engage the Phantom.
Phantom's engaged, sir. And I'm going to switch this up a little bit too, just because Phantom Zone, I do that Phantom extravaganza, so a lot of stuff is there. This is obvious one. We could do Michelle Rodriguez. She's in Fate of the Furious. We've done Phantom Zone for that one. But I'm going to kind of combine this now. Instead of doing a bunch of different actors and where they could play in this movie, I'm just going to do Ed Harris and where he could be in this film, and then talk about an Ed Harris film that I think is particularly apt for this one. So Ed Harris, where do we think he could fit in here? Oh, yeah, he's good at being kind of a good bad guy.
He'd be a very good Dr. Isaacs, who ends up being the actual main bad guy of the whole series, played by Ian Glenn.
And this was, I think, the Ed Harris movie that came to mind here was actually, he did a Resident Evil film before, but it was Resident Evil, and he played a janitor in a hospital, and he hunts down a serial killing resident in the hospital, and he does a patented Harris chop to his neck and takes him totally out. And then because he was so courageous, the head of the hospital gives him a job in the hospital as a new resident. He says, "You are now a resident." He's like, "I didn't go to med school." And they're like, "We don't care." And then he works around the clock finding a cure for a very rare disease to save his child. It's very heartwarming.
Sounds like the Sixth movie. Good.
What's that?
Sounds like the Sixth movie.
Oh, that's the sixth Resident Evil film?
Yeah.
Interesting. They called it Resident Evil.
Yeah.
All right. And that's
beautiful.
That.
Should we clap?
Amazing. Oh, I thought we were going to get the soundboard.
Ah, thanks.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, you can't see it, but I'm doing that thing that like chefs do, where they go and they like bow and they're doing it real solemnly. They're like, "Thank you, thank you."
All right, it's time. It's
Resident Evil
Worldwide. So tonight, you'll probably realize that sound clip is from the 2002 Resident Evil remake here for Resident Evil Worldwide. And one of the things that caught my eye in this movie and just being so bizarre to me was the character Jill Valentine, who I remember as being a good character, but as we all saw tonight, or whenever the heck we watched this, she is not. So I figured let's give a little background on Jill, see what's going on here, and see who she actually is in the games. She's one of the main characters from the original Resident Evil game, along with her partner, Chris Redfield. And she was a member of Delta Force and trained with the U.S. military. And there's a lot of this stuff you can find on Resident Evil Fan Wiki or Wikipedia. It's kind of interesting. There's a huge backstory with her. It's kind of crazy. So she excelled at lockpicking and bomb disposal. And because she was so darn good, she was the only woman accepted into Delta Force training. I don't recall any of this being discussed in Resident Evil 1, but I plan on replaying it, and maybe it will be. So she joined the STARS unit for Raccoon City Police, which is Special Tactics and Rescue Service.
STARS.
We are the STARS. And to quote the fan wiki, it says they rely on military vets and weapons-trained scientists to solve serious crimes. So it sounds like a TV show in and of itself, right? So she showed up in the first game, and the first game covers the infamous mansion incident. And if you've never played the games, Alex, you haven't. Listener, whether you have or not, I don't really know, but I'm going to cover that a little bit here for you. So, members of STARS were sent out to the mountains to investigate missing persons report.
Arclay Mountains.
Helicopter. Yes. Helicopter was sent out. It crashed. And then the other members of STARS, including Jill and Chris Redfield, went out there and they found the pilot absolutely mutilated. They were almost instantly attacked by mutant dogs. And if I'm remembering correctly, Chris shot one right in the face to protect Jill. And then they all ran into a mansion nearby. and they found all kinds of crazy things, including zombies and other monsters, and discovered that the mansion is actually a front for a bioweapons research lab run by the Umbrella Corporation, and they had unleashed the T-virus. Really fun game, really great. Can't recommend it enough. I used to play it a lot when I was younger, and like I said, I'm gonna go through and play that one again.
It's awesome. There's so many remakes and reboots of it too. You can get it for just about every console and current gen consoles as well, one way or another.
Yeah, and that the HD remake is just amazing. Love it.
And if you're a PlayStation Plus member, I don't know who is, who isn't, whatever. They were giving it away for free a while ago, so you might have it.
Do you have that, Kyle? I got it then.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one I'm going to go through and do. And Jill Valentine is actually considered one of the most popular video game characters. And part of the reason that she is when she was introduced as a female video game character, there's a lot of, how do I say it, stereotypical female video game characters that, there's some guy who's fantasizing about whatever he wants, and he creates that in a video game. Well, she is actually not like a hyper-sexualized character in a game. And that is good, right? I mean...
I agree. No, I agree. Kyle, I agree. I don't know about everyone else.
There is the short skirt version of her that's available.
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that stuff. So, and another reason that she's so popular is she's just as, if not more competent than her male counterparts in the game. And actually something that Resident Evil did to kind of help you play her, and they say that it was recommended to play her, is because of her lockpicking ability and whatnot. She starts with lockpicks, so that can help you get through rooms faster, and she can carry a larger inventory. So just something there to help steer players to play her. Now, as Brahma just mentioned, the miniskirt, it looks like Resident Evil 3 is where things started to ramp up with sexualizing a video game character. She wore a strapless shirt and a miniskirt. And then in Resident Evil 5... It's
because she was plain clothes. She got caught off duty.
Gotcha. Everybody knows cops, when they're off duty, are just running around in miniskirts.
Tube tops.
The remake, though, they took out the miniskirt. They made it a skirt. So
did they?
Nice.
Yep, they've adjusted.
And did they put Chris in jorts?
No, Chris has got a completely different look. Are you talking about Redfield? Chris Redfield's not in the third one. Are you talking about Carlos?
Oh.
Yeah, Carlos. Is he in jorts? He is in jorts, though.
Yeah, he's definitely in jorts.
Okay, can I ask a quick question also going back to your thing? So you said in the first one she could have bigger inventory?
Yes.
Is that because she had a purse or something?
She has tactical kits.
What? Oh, tactical kit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. See, I was making a joke about the stereotypes.
I laughed at it.
Yeah, sure.
Have a tendency to
So anyways, we mentioned the miniskirt from Resident Evil 3. And then Resident Evil 5, she got this thing called the battle suit, which is very similar to what we see in this movie we watched, which in the movie we watched, she is a hypersexualized form, I would say. I mean, it's super low cut. It's crazy.
It's very low cut.
It looked bad.
Yeah. I put my glasses like half on.
Half on?
Mm-hmm.
And then just a few interesting things here about the character when she was created. For the 2002 GameCube remake, her character was modeled after Canadian actress Julia Voth. Now, I thought this was a little odd because Julia Voth has a birthday May 16th, 1985. This game was released May 22nd, 2002. So she would have been 16 years old when this was released. It's kind of weird to be modeling somebody after a 16-year-old for a video game, but whatever. And then in the most recent remastering of Resident Evil 3, Jill was modeled after the Russian model Sasha Zatova. And a fun fact, because there's all kinds of backstories related to her character, her father is French and her mother is Japanese.
Nice.
That's it. That's it on Jill Valentine.
Let her live.
Yeah, let her live. Let her live her life, man.
Yeah, let her wear that tube top if she wants to. I don't know when she's off
true.
duty. Come on.
Yeah. You do what you got to do, Jill.
How'd they
All right,
even
Alex.
How'd they even know who this Julia Voth was?
I don't know. No clue.
I mean, she like literally never acted in anything before 2009. So like, well,
Unless you know somebody or something,
or
right?
she was maybe a model at that point or something. I didn't even know. It seems crazy.
It does seem crazy.
Anyways,
Alex, you got anything for us?
Nothing great, as per usual. But I'll read my first article and then let my co-anchor take it away. Turns out recently, as of the 24th, so 2 days ago, a Royal Navy submarine captain is investigated over having a rave barbecue.
nice.
Ooh.
So I guess someplace over in England, our good friends across the pond there, they had a submarine captain just come back from patrol, and they were expected to stay on the submarine in isolation because they needed repairs done. As everyone knows, there's a deadly virus going around, and it seems that once the virus gets stuck in one of these submarines, it just runs rampant. For whatever reason, the captain ignored orders to not have a party or not do anything. I'm not really for sure what, but there was quickly photographs going around social media of people out and about, grilling, drinking, having a good time. They said it was just like a rave, which I thought was a pretty unique word, I guess, to use for a party on a boat.
I would like to have seen this.
Yeah.
exactly.
I imagine glow sticks, black lights, ecstasy.
Yeah.
Like, what else goes on?
A source quoted in the Times described the party as a rave in the dockyard.
Yep.
Oh, man.
So he is currently under suspension at this time, which just means he gets to go home and be there instead of stuck on a boat. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
So he
for
can
him.
rave at home, huh?
Yeah, so I guess he can rave at home. It's the only article I really looked at. So if you guys have anything else.
I mean, there was that New York Times article about Russian submarine that people could check out. I sent it out to you guys, but I don't think we've discussed it on the podcast. It's a pretty big news article, and maybe we can discuss it in one of the future ones. I didn't read it. I just sent it to you guys. I do have one big news story to mention. Guys, do you remember a little movie called Torpedo?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's
I
an official
remember very
U.S. trailer for it's for the U.S. release. It's being called Torpedo U-235, which is a combination of the two different names that it was released under, Torpedo and U-235. There's a trailer, there's a couple posters, and I'm reading in this article, Torpedo U-235 is going to be released direct to VOD in the U.S. on May 19th.
Oh,
Really?
just a couple
Nice.
weeks.
Yep. Just to mention.
Will it fit in with our post-apocalyptic month?
I don't believe so.
We'll tag it on at the
Wait.
end.
No.
Next month, whatever.
That's it. That's all I got.
Bam. Bam.
Are we ready for a countdown?
Tube 3 ready to fire, sir.
Commence the countdown.
Give it to me.
Let's count it down, boys. All right. Was that a sound clip or was that someone dropping a bag of Skittles?
It was called Whack.
Oh. Does
Weird.
it not sound like a bag of Skittles, like being
It
dropped
sounds
on
like
the table?
forcefully putting down a bag of Skittles.
It sounds like someone's getting whacked with a bag of Skittles.
This one's called Transform.
That's great.
What's that from?
Transformers.
That's just an app.
All right, count it down.
I'm counting down tonight the top 5 video game adaptations to film. So Rotten Tomatoes has recorded 43 films that were adaptations that have received critical reviews, whether good or bad. And as Jamie alluded to, and I think everyone's kind of touched on it at some point tonight, that they don't typically make the transition very well. Video games oftentimes just belong as video games. We may want to see our favorite video games converted to a movie, but ultimately end up being a little disappointed most times. In fact, if the film would have scored a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, you would have broke into the top 5.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, they're usually pretty horrible.
Yeah.
They get eaten up and spit out.
We are going to count down our top 5 per Rotten Tomatoes scores, video game adaptations to film. Number 5, we're going to start with one that I know we're going to get a rise out of Zach over here.
Doom? Is it Doom?
It is not Doom. It's got your boy in it, though.
That's why I said Doom with The Rock.
I know. It's think The Rock. Nope.
Rampage.
Rampage.